Hello everyone. So first I want to apologize that it took me an extra day to do this. This weekend was absolutely crazy. I pulled double shifts on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I literally had zero time to actually sit down and do this reading. So I really apologize. It's a day late, but I'm getting it up first thing this morning, so I really hope that it gets out in time to still be of help. So let me go ahead and get started, show you what I have out. As always, over here I have my white tea light candle burning for spirit, selenite to attract all kinds of positive energies, black tourmaline to deflect negativity. Next to that I have turquoise to represent the divine, fluorite to balance energies, and garnet, which is a really good grounding stone. I'm not really sure why that wanted to be part of the reading today, but I have a feeling that it has something to do with the things that we've been seeing come up in other readings, all of the different energies that have been coming around, all of the excess energies that have been going around, where it's really important to keep yourself grounded. Next to that, I have my beautiful amethyst for psychism and clairvoyance. Next to that, I have my beautiful rose quartz for love, self-love, and self-healing. And then next to that, over here, I have my beautiful clear quartz for clarity. Over here, I'm not sure if you can see it, if it's really in the shot or not, but I have a cone of red sandalwood incense burning. Red sandalwood is very much a cleansing and protective incense, but it is also a very sacred incense. It kind of creates a sacred space wherever it burns, and I think that this week one of the things that we'll kind of be focusing on, just from the stones that were picked in the incense, is kind of creating sacred space, because next week, next Monday is Ostara. It's the first Sabbath of the new year, and so in a way we actually get to kind of make a new start. And so in doing so, it's kind of important to create that sacred space for yourself, that place that you can go to where you feel safe. So the deck that I have picked for today is the Spirit of the Wheel Meditation deck by Linda, I know I'm going to mispronounce this, Linda Iwashina and Jody Bergsma. I'm sure that I mispronounced that, but this deck is absolutely beautiful, and I am so excited to see what they have to tell us today. So for the beginning of the week, we have Wisdom, Spirit Path of the East, Universal Law, Learning and Sharing. Also notice that the number is 33 on this card. I just love the illustrations on these cards. I think they are absolutely gorgeous. Alright, so for the beginning of the week, we are actually starting off on a very, very good note. Beginning in the East, that is the place of spirit. That is the place of the divine. That is the place of spiritual learning, spiritual experience, spiritual expansion. And so starting off the week here, you'll be noticing, a lot of the smaller things happening with yourself that you may not usually notice. Like, for instance, this morning I woke up and it was snowing, and I found that I was actually counting the flakes as they were falling, as I was watching them. For me personally, numbers are a very divine thing, but for you it could be colors. It could be shapes, looking at all of the different shapes or the different colors, or examining the different sounds around you. Notice all of those little things around you, because that is part of your learning process. That is part of your spiritual development, is figuring out what aspects of the physical are best integrated into your spiritual. If that makes any sense. Alright, so for the middle of the week, we have Ripe Berries Moon, Life Lessons, Victory, and Courage. And the number on this card is 23, so we actually went down a little bit. So I'm going to look up what the actual dates for this Ripe Berries Moon is real quick. Okay, so July into August. So I don't think that this card particularly has anything to do with this upcoming month, but more focuses on things that are setting up for Ripe Berries Moon, which will be happening in July into August, which is actually the time when we are going into fall, when we are going into the time of harvest and the time of, you know, rest, getting ready for rest. In the springtime, which Ostara is coming up, is the time to begin preparing again. We prepare for the winter throughout the summer and fall, and then come spring, we finish all of that up and then start again. And so I think that this card is just basically a reminder to hold on to everything that you have learned in the past few months. And, you know, not necessarily to repeat the cycle, but take what you've learned and expand upon it. You know, with the beginning of the week, what we saw was expansion. And here, this is a reminder that that is a very, very important part of the energies that'll be going around this week. On this card, we actually see a hummingbird. And hummingbird is a symbol for joy, but also a symbol for hope and for hard work that manifests into something greater than you could ever have, you know, dreamed of. So for me, seeing this card in the middle of the week is a wonderful, wonderful omen. So for the weekend, we have Introspection, Spirit Path of the West, New Perspective, Retreat, and Unity. Numbers 39. So basically at the beginning of the week, we started in the east over here, and we moved over to the west. Basically what we did here was we went from the east in an upward curve into the west, which is kind of counterclockwise, but moving into the west direction, that is the place of bear, that is the place of the shadow self. That is the place to look within, to find what it is that you are needing most, whether it is a physical need, a mental need, a spiritual need, or an emotional need, and actually finding a way to fulfill that need, whether it's something that you can do or something that you need from someone else. You know, and if it's something that you end up needing from someone else, if that person cannot give it to you, then you have to find another alternative. So you have to retreat again. You have to go back into that place of introspection again. Because the whole point of retreat and going into that place of looking within is you're finding that the answers are all within yourself. And we began this week at a place of wisdom, and that is where we are ending. And we are basically this week going back over and looking at the cycles that we have completed over the last, several months, possibly over the last year, and not necessarily planning to repeat them, but planning how we can expand upon them, make them grow, make them better, how we can make this year so much better than the last, even though there's quite a bit more energy going around, quite a few more things that can go wrong. There's a lot more things that we need to plan ahead for. But in the wake of all that, there are also good things that can happen that we really can't plan for. So when they happen, it's a type of expansion for us. It's a new learning experience. It's a positive learning experience. And so this week, I think, really, really sets us up in a very, very good place, getting us ready to start again. Because I know that the winter months, we basically step back, we go into this place right here. We go into a place of solitude, a place of introspection, a place of quiet. We go into that retreat kind of mentality. Get away from society, get away from nature, from the natural order of things, and just get to a place of quiet, of solitude, of calm. And in the spring, we end up coming out with all of these other things, all of these new energies, all of this new life, all of this new expansion that we have to be ready for. But our symbol of hope is here too, the hummingbird. So I think that this week is really going to be very energized, but also very positive and very uplifting, if we choose to see it that way. So I hope this reading has helped you guys. Don't forget to set up sacred space for yourself, even if it's just in a corner of a room, set up a place where you can go for quiet time, for solitude, to just kind of get away from things and, let yourself go through the stages of expansion that you need. So I am wishing you all a very blessed week and a very blessed Ostara, hoping I will actually have time to do the reading on time for next week. So if I don't see you before, I will definitely see you then. Blessed be.